Good morning, everybody, and I welcome you all to the last day of the VSSP 2021. As usual, today again we have four speakers, the last set of four speakers, and the chair for today's session is Somnath De. He is currently a postdoc at IMSC Chennai and some kind of a founding member of Curry Leaf. So over to you, Somya.
Yeah, hi. So good morning, all. Today, the first speaker of this morning is Shashwata Guho from Pondicherry University, and he's an integrated MSc Mathematics student in fifth year. He attended MTTS level O and 1, and in 2021 he also attended level 2. And his topic for today is an intuitive approach to quotient topology. Yeah, Shashwata, you may start.
Good morning to everyone. I'll start my talk today. It's an intuitive approach to quotient topology. So before going into the main topic, we'll see some basic notions. So we have a function. Yeah, we have a function f from x to y. Then using this function, x and y are any sets and f is any function. Using this function, we can define an equivalence relation or a relation on x. How we define the relation? We say 2 points A and B are related if and only if they have the same image in y. Now it is easy to verify that this tilde is an equivalence relation on x. So what does it do? This relation basically partitions x into disjoint equivalence classes. Thus, given any function, we see that we can get an equivalence relation tilde on x on the domain set. Yeah. So now let us consider the converse. Suppose we have a set X and an equivalence relation tilde defined on it. So, and let X mod tilde be the set of all equivalence classes. That is basically the quotient set. So can you all tell of a map, a natural map from X to the set of all quotient, the quotient set, that is set of all equivalence classes? Yes. We can send an element in X to its respective equivalence class. Now, what you all can say about this map? What properties does it have? Yes, this map is surjective. Is it injective? Need not be. Think of a condition when it can be injective. Fine. So this construction of using a function and defining an equivalence relation on a given set is ubiquitous in math. It is used in a lot of places, especially in group theory. When we have a group homomorphism between two groups, we use this relation. We use this function to define an equivalence relation using which we construct a quotient group. Fine. Now we move on to our main topic of today, the quotient spaces. Like we have groups, we can construct quotient groups. Similarly, for topological spaces, we can construct quotient topological spaces. Fine. So let X be any set and let tilde be an equivalence relation on X. Now we have already seen that pi is a natural surjective map from X to X mod tilde, where each element goes to its equivalence class. Now suppose X is a topological space. That is, it has a topology on it. So can you all tell of think of a topology on the quotient set, which makes a natural topology on the quotient set, which makes this map pi continuous? Yes, the indiscrete topology is one such topology, like the natural choice. Why? Because if we put the indiscrete topology in the quotient set, the only open sets will be X mod tilde and the empty set. Their inverse images are basically X and the empty set, and hence they are open. They're open sets in X because X is a topological space. Fine. Now, in this regard, in the topological context, we name this map as the quotient map. Fine. So whenever we refer it further in this talk, I'll call this map as the quotient map. Now, the indiscrete topology on this quotient set is the smallest topology for which pi becomes continuous. So can we do something better? Can we find a bigger topology than the indiscrete topology, or rather the largest topology on the quotient set for which the quotient map is continuous? Okay, suppose we have one such topology. Let's see what happens. Then we see that for every V open in X mod tilde, pi inverse V must be open in X. This idea suggests us this following definition. we define a tau, we want to define a topology on the quotient set as follows. We will collect only those subsets of the quotient space or the quotient set such that its inverse image is open in X. Now, this is a very easy exercise to verify that tau is a topology on the quotient set. So what do we observe? We observe the following things. Tau is a topology on the quotient set if and only if pi is continuous. Or tau is a topology on the quotient set if and only if for every open u open in X mod tilde, pi inverse u is open in X. That is by the definition of tau. Also, this is very easy to verify that tau is the largest topology on the quotient set for which this map pi is continuous. Fine. Now we'll see some first-hand examples of quotient spaces. Let us construct some and see what happens. Now we consider X with the usual subspace topology of R. So this is basically the closed interval 0, 1. Now, if we take these two endpoints, if we consider this as a wire and we bend it and join the endpoints together here, then in some sense we get a circle, right? Okay, so now let us concretely define an equivalence relation tilde on X. We'll define it as follows. The endpoints will go to the same class, will belong to the same class, and the elements in between is open interval 0, 1 will be in single equivalence classes. The singletons will be equivalence classes themselves for 0 less than X less than 1. And then we see that if we glue the endpoints together, bend them, we somehow get a circle S1, right, in R2. So this is our intuitive understanding. We will quickly see one theorem this will motivate us to go to formulate a theorem and prove it. So we'll see one more example. Consider X as 0, 1 cross 0, 1, the unit square in R2 with the usual product topology. Now, consider this as a sheet of paper. If we roll it in this direction, what happens is we get a cylinder. Then if we identify these two endpoints together, I stretch it and join these two endpoints, we somehow get a donut-like shape, right? A torus. Okay, so let us concretely define the equivalence relation tilde. We say that the singletons are in the same equivalence class. Each of them are equivalence classes. This is the equivalence class of the horizontal lines. And this is the equivalence class of the vertical lines. And these are the vertices. So this equivalence relation, under this equivalence relation, 0, 1 cross 0, 1 mod tilde somehow looks like a torus. Now these two examples motivate us to formulate a theorem and prove it. The main theorem for my talk today. So we'll see a result which helps us identify quotient spaces with other known spaces. So let X and Y be two compact topological spaces. We further assume that Y is Hausdorff. And let F be a map from X to Y such that it is surjective and continuous. We'll see in a minute why surjectivity is needed. Now using this function F, we can define an equivalence relation on X. How? 2 points are related if and only if they have the same image. Then we say that X mod tilde is homeomorphic to Y. Fine. Now here I assume that the viewers are familiar with the concept of compactness, Hausdorffness, and homeomorphism. Okay, so before getting into the proof of this, we have to see one small result. I won't prove it, I'll just state and leave it. The universal mapping property. So let pi be the quotient map from X to X mod tilde. X mod tilde is the quotient space constructed using an equivalence relation explicitly defined on X. Now, the map F from the quotient space to another topological space Y is continuous if and only if F composition pi is continuous. Here everything is a topological space. Okay, well, from here on X, Y, X mod tilde all will be topological spaces. So what is happening here is basically we have a topological space X, the quotient map pi from X to its quotient space, and a function F from the quotient space to another topological space Y. We say this map F is continuous if and only if the composition of F with the quotient space quotient map is continuous. So remember this will help us. Now, just one short thing we will consider. Now let F be any function from between two topological spaces. X and Y are two arbitrary topological spaces, and F is a continuous map. And this F is different. This is not the previous F. This is an arbitrary continuous function. So using this F, we can induce an equivalence relation tilde on the domain set. How? we said 2 points are related if and only if they have the same image. Fine. Now we define a new map G from the quotient space to the topological space Y. How it is defined? We are sending an equivalence class of the equivalence class of X to f of X. So what is happening here is we have X, we have the quotient space, and we have another topological space Y. This is the quotient map. This is G. And previously, like in universal mapping property, we saw that this is basically G composition pi. And that is F. Why? Because we are defining G of equivalence class of X as f of X. So clearly F is G composition pi. And by the universal mapping property, just which you have seen, using this result, we can conclude that G is continuous. Fine. Now let us come back to the main theorem. We'll try to prove it. I'll again state it. X and Y are two compact topological spaces. And I assume that Y is Hausdorff. And we have a surjective function, continuous map from X to Y. Then using this function, we define a relation, equivalence relation on X, such that 2 points are related if and only if they have the same image. Then we say that the quotient space constructed is homeomorphic to Y. That is, topologically, this and this will be same. Okay. To prove this, we first have to construct a homeomorphism from the quotient space to Y, right? Now, the map G will help us in this regard. Okay, how do we define G? We have already seen. We have defined G as G of the equivalence class of X equal to f of X. And also we had seen that f, this given f, any surjective continuous function, this function is given as G composition pi. And by the universal mapping property, we had already seen G is continuous. Now, to prove that G is a homeomorphism, what do we need to show? Yes, we have to show that G is continuous, G is a bijection, and its inverse is also continuous. Fine. So G is continuous is done by the universal mapping property. G is 1, 1 is very easy. I leave it as an exercise for the viewers to verify. Now, for the surjectivity of G, we see that we will use the surjectivity of F. So given any Y in Y, we will find an X in X such that f of X equal to Y, because F is surjective. This implies G of the equivalence class of X is equal to f of X is equal to Y. Here only we need the surjectivity of F. So that's important. Fine. Now this shows that G is on 2. Now we have to show that G inverse is continuous. Okay. So for doing that, what do we need to prove? We can either go by the open set definition version or the closed set definition version. So I'll go by the closed set definition version here because we have compact sets here, so that might help. So let F be a closed subset of. So what we'll do is we'll take a closed subset in the quotient space. We'll show that its inverse image is also closed. Okay. Before that, we know that X is compact is given, and the quotient map pi is always continuous, and it is surjective. Therefore, pi of X is equal to X mod tilde. Therefore, X mod tilde is also compact because we know that continuous image of a compact set is compact. Now we are taking a closed set f of X mod tilde. Now we have to consider G inverse of f. That is basically G of f. Now X mod tilde is compact and f is a closed subset of the quotient space. Hence it has to be compact because it is a closed subset of a compact set. And now this G inverse of f is basically G of f. And so G of f has to be compact because continuous image of a compact set is compact. G is continuous. We have already seen that. Now, since G of f is a compact subset of Y and Y is Hausdorff, this forces G of f to be closed in Y. There is one more result which you are using here. That is, every compact subspace of a Hausdorff space is closed. That is G inverse of f is closed in Y. This implies G inverse is continuous, which shows G is a homeomorphism. Fine.
Yeah, Shashwata, you have 5 minutes.
Yes, sir, sure. Now we'll go back to our main example, the examples which we had seen. Here we had constructed a quotient space using this equivalence relation. We identified the endpoints together and glued them and got a circle, and where the singletons are also where each of them were equivalence classes. Now our guess was this is homeomorphic to S1, right? Fine. Now we'll validate our case. So I will prove it. Yes. So our X is zero, closed interval 0, 1 with the usual subspace topology of R, and Y is S1, a subset of R2 with the usual subspace topology of R2. Because we take Y as S1 because our guess is it is homeomorphic to S1, right? They're topologically the same. That is what we have to show. Now we note that X and Y are X and S1 are compact. X and Y are compact because they are closed and bounded subsets of R and R2 respectively. So by Hein-Borel theorem, they are compact. And also S1 is Hausdorff because subspace of a Hausdorff space is Hausdorff. Now consider this function. We now need a continuous surjection from X to Y, right? So let us take that as f of t equal to e power 2 pi it. Now let's see what equivalence relation does it induce on X. Okay, how do we do that? We equate f of s equal to f of t. From this we see that e power 2 pi I into s minus t is equal to 1. This forces s minus to be an integer. So this implies s minus t is either 0 or 1 or minus 1 because s minus t belongs to closed interval 0, 1. Also, we observe that if we take 2 points, 2 points in open interval 0, 1, distinct points, then their images will be distinct. So everything forces the equivalence classes to be precisely singleton X and 0, 1. That is the singletons inside, that is the points inside 0, 1 is in singleton, will be singleton equivalence classes, and the endpoints are one equivalence class. Fine. Now this is precisely the equivalence relation using which we had constructed our quotient space in first place, right? In the first place. So our F respects or induces the same equivalence relation using which we constructed the quotient space, and all the conditions of the previous theorem are satisfied. Thus we see that 0, 1 mod tilde is homeomorphic to S1. Fine. That is topologically this the quotient space 0, 1 mod tilde is same as the unit circle in R2. Fine. Let us now understand some open sets in the quotient space. Okay, consider this arc. What about this? Is this open in the quotient space S1? Okay, for this to be open, what do we have to check? Its inverse image must be open in the in X, right? That's how we had defined the quotient topology. So if we open this red dot, we get back this, and the inverse image is basically an open interval in closed interval 0, 1. Is that open in closed interval 0, 1? Yes, because we have the usual topology here. So open interval AB is open in X, which forces this arc to be open in S1. The arc AB in S1 is open if and only if AB is open in closed interval 0, 1. That is, U is open in X mod tilde if and only if pi of U is open in X. That's how we are defined. Fine. So what happens if we have an arc which includes this red dot? Think of this. Yeah, I urge the viewers to think of this. So I'll move ahead. There is one more way of visualizing open sets using subspace topology. What is subspace topology? So we take S1 as a subset of R2, and tau of S1 is U intersection S1 where U is open in R2. Now this tau of S1, this collection is a topology in S1. It is easy to verify. So what we do is we take an open set in R2, a basic open set that is an open disk. Now its intersection with S1 gives me what? It basically gives me an arc, right? This arc AB. Therefore, this arc AB must be open in S1 because the red disk is open in R2 with respect to the usual topology. Okay, fine. Now we see our last example, which we had already seen once. Our X was 0, 1 cross 0, 1 with the usual product topology, and Y is now S1 cross S1. Verify that X and Y are compact. Fine. Now Y is Hausdorff because S1 was Hausdorff. We had just seen that. And product of two Hausdorff spaces is Hausdorff. So consider this map f from X to S1 cross S1 as f of st equal to e power 2 pi is, comma e power 2 pi it. Let's see what equivalence relation does it induce on X. So by calculation in the previous example, we will again see that the equivalence relation tilde induced by this f will be the singletons in singletons each form one equivalence class, these two horizontal lines in the same class, and the two vertical lines in the same class, and the vertices endpoints, vertices in the same equivalence class. Now this is exactly the equivalence relation using which we constructed this torus or the quotient space in the first place. Therefore, F satisfies, F respects the equivalence relation using which we constructed the quotient space, and it satisfies all the previous conditions of the previous theorem. Hence, we see that 0, 1 cross 0, 1 mod tilde is homeomorphic to S1 cross S1. That is, topologically, this S1 cross S1 and this torus or the donut is same. The last thing is let us like understand this quotient space a bit. What can be the open sets in this quotient space? Is this red shaded portion open in the quotient space in the torus? For this to be open, what has to happen? Yes, its inverse image must be open. So what is its inverse image? If we open the torus here and get back this sheet of paper, we see that these red shaded portions are the like this will be the inverse image of this red shaded portion in the quotient space. So is this red shaded portion open in X 0, 1 cross 0, 1? Yes. Why? Yes, we again use the concept of subspace topology. We take an open disk in R2. Its intersection with this square gives us this red shaded portion. Hence, this red shaded portion has to be open. Hence, this and this red shaded portion also are open. Since X is a topological space, their union is open. Therefore, this red shaded portion here must be open. Similarly, we can visualize this blue shaded portion and this black shaded portion are open because again we use the concept of subspace topology. Or we can see this. This shows that the pre-images are open. Hence, this blue shaded portion is open. This black shaded portion is also open. That's it for my topic today. I thank you all for listening to me. Now, you all can ask me questions. Any questions regarding my topic? Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Shashwata, for the nice talk.